Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Ancestor. Xiao Yan looked at Xiao Yan, who was smiling warmly. His nose involuntarily felt a little soul. Refine and absorb it. Xiao Yan grinned. He flicked his finger, and the crystal clearly light cluster in front of him slowly flew downwards. Bright light was continuously emitted from within. It appeared just like a warm sun. Xiao Yan watched the crystal clear light cluster suspended in front of him. The vast and mighty spiritual strength spreading within it was as deep and unfathomable as the ocean. Even his perfect heavenly state soul appeared quite tiny in front of this spiritual strength. The heavenly tomb soul was formed by the soul fragments of countless of experts after their deaths. The spiritual strength it contained could only be described as terrifying. Ancestor, Xiao Yang will definitely revive the glory of the Xiao clan. Xiao Yang inhaled a deep breath of air. He once again nodded respectfully towards Xiao Yan in the sky. After which, he did not say anything more. He took a stride forward and directly walked into the bright light cluster. Immediately, a light flashed and swallowed Xiao Yang's entire body into it. Xiao Yan's body appeared a little pale as he stood in the sky. He looked at the crystal clear light cluster, which appeared just like a sun. A pleased smile was formed on his face. He was extremely satisfied with this descendant. Perhaps, Xiao Yang was able to finish what he was unable to do back then. There's still some time. Hopefully, I can wait until you exit your retreat. Xiao Yan muttered. He immediately sat outside of the light cluster. Those calm eyes occasionally swept over the ground. All the energy bodies hurriedly looked away, and back off, by a great distance under his glance. The spiritual essence of the heavenly tomb soul was a great temptation to them. However, it was clear that no one dared to allow this temptation to take root under the deterrence of Xiao Yan. This place was a seemingly endless sea. Waves churned over the sea. There seemed to be waves of roars that originated from within one soul resounding over this place. Xiao Yang's body floated in the air above the sea. His eyes looked towards the sea below. There was a dense shock within his eyes. The light cluster did not appear large, but he did not expect that there was another world behind it. After Xiao Yang's probing of this sea, he had ended up with a shocking conclusion. This sea was actually completely formed by spiritual strength. It was the first time that Xiao Yang had seen such a vast and mighty frightening spiritual strength. Compared to this spiritual sea, his perfect heavenly state soul appeared to be completely insignificant. Unexpectedly, the heavenly tomb soul is this terrifying. No wonder even Ancestor has to ignite his own soul. Xiao Yang frowned tightly. Only at this moment did he understand why Xiao Yan would have to use this kind of mutual suicide method when attacking the heavenly tomb soul despite his ability. It was actually because even Xiao Yan did not have the confidence to defeat the heavenly tomb soul in his normal state. The heavenly tomb soul had already disappeared. All the spiritual strength is this place does not have an owner. Xiao Yang's throat rolled involuntarily. If rumors of this was to spread, it was likely that all the experts from the continent would rush over in a crazy fashion. As long as one was able to refine the spiritual strength of this place, their soul would definitely reach a relatively terrifying level. It was even possible to reach that legendary D-state soul. This gift that Xiao Yan had bestowed upon him was a really great one. Xiao Yang clenched his fist tightly. His eyes also gradually became determined. Now was not the time to be indecisive. The reason Xiao Yan had paid such a hefty price to provide him with this gift was to allow him to possess some ability to resist the Han clan. Xiao Yan currently did not have much time left. He must not waste it. The flow of time in this place is also different compared to the heavenly tomb. Xiao Yang lifted his head. He looked at this space and a grave expression was formed in his eyes. He discovered that the richness of the spiritual strength in this place had actually altered the flow of time. From a certain point of view, this was a heavenly tomb that had been shrunk by many times. However, the flow of time in this place was likely even slower than that of the heavenly tomb. A heavenly tomb within the heavenly tomb. Who? Xiao Yang let out a long breath. He gradually steadied his emotions. The time in this place was slower than that of the heavenly tomb. This was good for him. Otherwise, he did not know if he was really able to refine all of these vast and mighty spiritual sea within 2 months or so. Xiao Yang sat in the air. His body slowly descended from the sky and landed on the surface of the sea. Spiritual strength swiftly surged out from his brow. After which, a low cry sounded and it turned into a huge illusory figure that was a couple of 1,000 feet in size. The illusory figure covered around Xiao Yang and sat down. Fierce purifying demonic lotus flame began to spread from within the huge spiritual illusory body. It directly dyed the spiritual illusory figure into a flame-covered person. A terrifying heat spread throughout this space. Rumble. The spiritual sea, where Xiao Yang was located, began to whistle after the purifying demonic lotus flame covered Xiao Yang's spiritual illusory body. A 10,000 feet large swirl was formed below it. Spiritual strength shot out from all directions. It seemed to have suffered a kind of intense pull as it began to turn into many 1,000 feet large spiritual water pillar that continuously shot into the huge spiritual illusory figure. Sizzle sizzle. The seemingly real spiritual water pillar heavily smashed onto the spiritual illusory figure. However, waves of sizzling sound was erupted after the spiritual water pillar touched the purifying demonic lotus flame. Dense white fog rose. Finally, it turned into a cloud that covered Xiao Yang's huge spiritual illusory body. The spiritual strength of this place might be considered vast and mighty, but it was a little mottled. After all, the heavenly tomb soul had been formed by absorbing countless of souls belonging to dead experts. However, this was not considered troublesome for Xiao Yang, who possessed the purifying demonic lotus flame. The purification ability of the purifying demonic lotus flame was extremely useful when it came to refinement. Moreover, there was also little yi present within Xiao Yang's body. With just a thought, all of the purifying ability would merge into the spiritual strength within his body and refine it into the purest form. Many huge spiritual water pillars continuously leaped from the surface of the vast and mighty sea like huge pythons. Finally, they poured onto the spiritual illusory figure seated in the sky. It caused the huge illusory figure to gradually emit a fluorescent light, after a fog that could cover the sun was erupted. Looking from a distance, it actually appeared like a divine statue standing in this world and was filled with a monstrous pressure. This refinement effect could cause many to be greatly shocked. The spiritual sea had also begun to form many huge waves with the flow of time as it continuously rumbled over this world. While Xiao Yang was devouring and refining the spiritual strength like a whale, the pressure emitted from his soul also gradually became increasingly terrifying. His surging spiritual strength gradually approached the legendary state at a steady pace. 1 month passed. It had been a month within the heavenly tomb since Xiao Yang had entered the cluster of light. Xiao Yang did not show any sign of exiting his retreat during this month. The interior of the light cluster did not emit any strange fluctuation. Everything was exactly the same as 1 month ago. Xiao Yan was quietly sitting outside of the crystal-clear light cluster. Both of his eyes were slightly shut. He appeared like a meditating monk. His body had become much paler as compared to a month ago. Moreover, from his appearance, he had also begun to age. Everyone could tell that he was already about to reach the end of his life. However, he continued to wait persistently. Many energy bodies on the ground watched Xiao Yan's gradually paling body. They felt some grief. The saddest thing was the fall of a hero. Xiao Yan was a matchless individual both when he was alive and when he was dead. However, he was now merely showing the lethargy of an ordinary old man. The eyes under the white eyebrow twitched. They were slowly opened. His elderly face revealed a smile as he looked at the cluster of light in front of him. His body had also become a lot more illusory at this moment. "Little fellow, my time's almost up." The old man's soft mutter resounded over the sky. 1 month within the heavenly tomb was just like a year for Xiao Yan, who was deep within the spiritual sea. The enormous spiritual illusory figure sat on the sea. Rich cloud covered the entire world. The spiritual illusory figure had become increasingly real. At the end, it had basically been turned into a real giant that was a couple of 1,000 feet in size. That manner was as though it was a Xiao Yang that had been magnified by many times. Xiao Yang's breathing was just like thunder. A dense cloud surged into his nostrils like a dragon cloud. His hair was like a 10,000 feet huge waterfall. His clothes fluttered and a kind of terrifying huge wave was stirred on the surface of the sea. A king of the world-like aura seemed to be vaguely emitted from the enormous spiritual body. This aura was as though his was the overlord of souls. Many energy bodies quietly sigh after the final day of the second month within the heavenly tomb had arrived. This was because the elderly figure in the sky had paled until it was almost invisible. Even though this was the case, the old man continued to wait quietly. An obsession seemed to have allowed him, who had reached his end, to remain in this world. It seemed. I am unable to wait for it to happen. The already transparent-like figure in the quiet sky fluctuated slightly. Xiao Yan grinned. His eyes revealed a little regret. "Little fellow, I feel extremely rest assured that the Xiao clan has you. Goodbye." Xiao Yan's eyes were slowly shut. His body also became increasingly pale. Bang. However, the space within the heavenly tomb suddenly trembled intensely while Xiao Yan's body was about to disappear. A ripple that seemed to belong to the overlord of the world swiftly spread. All the energy bodies involuntarily shuddered wherever the fluctuation spread. That pressure could not be resisted. The eyes of Xiao Yan, who was about to vanish, finally revealed a pleased expression after detecting this fluctuation. This descendant Xiao Yang bids ancestor farewell. In front of countless pairs of shocked eyes, a 10,000 feet large figure, which caused one to hold one's breath, swiftly appeared in the sky. Immediately, the figure slowly knelt down towards Xiao Yan. The 10,000 feet figure stood in the sky. All the energy bodies in the heavenly tomb under it shrunk and trembled. The frightening pressure seemed to be about to cause their bodies to explode. Xiao Yan's body completely faded in the sky. Those old eyes were filled with a pleased expression as they vanished. The huge figure continued to kneel in the sky after Xiao Yan's body paled. It was a long time later before that huge body slowly shrunk. Finally, it turned into the size of an ordinary person and quietly stood in the sky. Ancestor. Xiao Yang looked towards the spot where Xiao Yan had vanished and muttered softly. He extended his hand and gently clenched it onto the empty space. An invisible light spot that an ordinary person could not see appeared in his hand after he clenched it. This was Xiao Yan's life imprint. Only those whose soul had stepped into the DI state could see such a life imprint. Otherwise, even if one's Do Qi had reached the advanced 9-star Doshin class, one would still be unable to detect this extremely mysterious existence. From a certain point of view, the current Xiao Yan could be basically considered to have completely vanished. That ultimate expert, who had once dominated the Dochi continent, had completely disappeared from the world. However, this was not the case from Xiao Yan's point of view after he had stepped into the DI state. This life imprint might perhaps be able to bestow life to Xiao Yan again. However, even after having his soul advance into the DI state, Xiao Yan was unable to do something like this. Perhaps, he would only be able to do it after he had truly advanced into the legendary Do Di class in the future. Regardless of what it was, there was ultimately still a hope. This hope might be distant, but it had not completely disappeared. The invisible life imprint slowly rose in Xiao Yan's palm. After which, it entered his brow, and was guarded by his world-like vast and mighty spiritual strength. Perhaps, after a long time, this old man, who had given up everything for the Xiao clan, would be able to once again appear in this world. Xiao Yan gently sighed after keeping the life imprint. He lowered his head and glanced at the heavenly tomb world. Although only 2 months had passed, it had only been less than half a month in the Central Plains. However, Xiao Yan had in reality spent nearly 2 years within the heavenly tomb. He had only managed to completely refine the heavenly tomb soul after spending 2 years. Fortunately, the tomb within the heavenly tomb had a different flow of time. Otherwise, there was no telling just how the outside world would have changed by the time he exit from his retreat in 2 years' time. DI state soul. Xiao Yan gently clenched his hand. His eyes looked into the distance and a strange state of mind rose from within his heart. This feeling was as though the entire heavenly tomb was under his control. Explode. Xiao Yan extended his hand. He suddenly grabbed at the empty space. A stone mountain hundreds of thousands of feet from him exploded into dust without any warning. His spiritual strength had spread over every part of the heavenly tomb with just a mere thought. The area which it could cover was many times greater than what Xiao Yan could achieve in the past. His attack would be able to reach any spot that his soul could reach even if it was tens of thousands of kilometers away. The DI state soul and the perfect heavenly state only had the difference of a single step. However, one was the sky and the other was the earth. There was no way to compare the two. Only after truly experiencing the great strength of the DI state would one understand why many were unable to leap through this universe-like barrier, despite trying to do so all their lives. This was because the two. One was a god while the other was a mortal. Perhaps it is time to leave. Xiao Yan's body was suspended in the sky. Xiao Yan had already vanished. There was nothing in this heavenly tomb that he could not bear to part with. However, due to him having devoured the heavenly tomb soul, Xiao Yan could sense that he had an absolute control over this realm. In other words, even after he left the Jiu realm in the future, he would be able to easily open a spatial tunnel that leads into the heavenly tomb realm from anywhere. Moreover, anyone who wished to tear open a spatial crack and enter the heavenly tomb could only do so with his permission. From a certain point of view, Xiao Yan was just like the owner of this heavenly tomb. He could decide on who could enter and exit it. Xiao Yan felt a little surprise at this accompanying gift. Although the rich energy of this heavenly tomb was of little use to him with his current strength, the difference in the flow of time as compared to the Central Plains was quite attractive. After all, it was able to greatly increase the effectiveness of one's training. This would be an extremely good aid to both him and his faction. I have saved the need to build my own realm. Xiao Yan smiled. He was quite satisfied with this accompanying gift. After all, if he wished to build his own realm, it would not possess such a unique ability. This was because such an ability was something that only an elite Do Di possessed. Xiao Yan suppressed the emotions within his heart. His finger gently drew past the space in front of him. A spatial crack line appeared. His eyes once again swept over this realm before he stepped into the crack. The space wiggled and he disappeared in front of the countless pairs of eyes. A couple of figures were standing in the air above the vast mountains of the Gu realm. All of them were frowning as they looked at the water ripple like slowly fluctuating space. Clan head Gu Yuan, what has happened? Lei Ying looked at Gu Yuan beside him and asked in surprise. Half a month has passed. If Xiao Yan do not come out, the Han clan might really end up killing his father. Yang Jin by the side also opened his mouth and said. Xiao Yan did not show any signs of coming out ever since he had entered the heavenly tomb. Moreover, the day that they had agreed with the Han clan was about to arrive. The heavenly tomb has already been shut. The spatial tunnel of this place is also completely blocked. I have tried to open a spatial tunnel earlier, but I was repelled by a force. That feeling was as though the current heavenly tomb possessed an owner. Gu Yuan frowned tightly. The words he spoke greatly shocked everyone. There was only one owner of the heavenly tomb. It was the elite Do Di, who had created it. The heavenly tomb had remained without an owner for so many years. Although they had once thought of refining it, all of them had failed without exception. A realm created by a Do Di was far from what they were able to control. Hence, even with the mental fortitude of the two of them, they involuntarily felt some disbelief after hearing Gu Yuan's words. However, they understood that given Gu Yuan's strength, it was naturally impossible that he was mistaken. In that case, Xiao Yang Ge. Zana's pretty face became a little pale after hearing those words from beside Gu Yuan. She was uninterested to know whether the heavenly tomb has an owner. However, Xiao Yang was currently inside. How would Xiao Yang return if Gu Yuan was unable to open a spatial tunnel? I will try again. Gu Yuan's expression was a little gloomy. With his current strength, even if the heavenly tomb really did possess a mysterious owner, it would be impossible for the latter to prevent him from entering it. The seal formed by Gu Yuan's hands changed after his voice sounded. Immediately, the energy around them swiftly turned into a 10,000 feet large giant energy hand in the sky. After which, he grabbed ruthlessly at the fluctuating space. A huge dark shadow covered the surrounding mountain range. The huge energy palm was extremely quick. In a flash, it had appeared outside the space. However, the former was about to smash onto the space when the latter's surging speed suddenly became even more intense. Soon after, a fluctuation swiftly spread from within and heavily collided with the huge palm. It actually forcefully scattered this attack from Gu Yuan. This sudden unexpected change caused everyone to be dull. What kind of strength did Gu Yuan possess? He was one of the strongest individuals in this world. Even someone as strong as Lei Ying would have to use all of his strength in order to resist this attack. Yet, this strike had actually been scattered from a mere fluctuation. This is spiritual fluctuation. How is this possible? The shock continued for an instant before Lei Ying and Yang Jin recovered and exclaimed. Pushing back a palm strike from Gu Yuan by relying only on a spiritual fluctuation. Just what kind of terrifying spiritual strength was it? Something is wrong. Set up formation. The three immortals of the Gu clan, behind Gu Yuan suddenly had grave expressions. They let out a low cry and many experts from the Gu clan swiftly flew out from the surrounding mountain range. Do Chi surged and swiftly gathered. Sir, may I know who are you? This is the Gu clan. We are only here to receive someone and do not have any other plans. Gu Dao cried out loud with a solemn expression after the formation was set up. A spatial tunnel slowly appeared in the fluctuating space after Gu Dao's voice sounded. Immediately, a figure slowly stepped forward in front of the many anxious eyes belonging to the experts from the Gu clan. Isn't this lineup a little too great to simply receive someone? That figure stepped out from the spatial tunnel. At a glance, he saw the formation being placed in the sky and the many experts from the Gu clan waiting solemnly throughout the mountains. His expression quickly became a little interesting. Xiao Yan. Everyone was stunned after seeing the figure stepping out from the spatial tunnel. There was a top expert who had exchanged blows with the clan head earlier. We were just, Gu Dao sighed in relief. With a wave of his hand, he got everyone to relax slightly. He smiled towards Xiao Yang. Before he could finish speaking, however, he saw a shock suddenly surging onto Gu Yuan's face. Immediately, he ceased speaking. The one who had fought earlier was you. Gu Yuan's eyes stared at Xiao Yang. A great storm rose within his heart. Everyone, including Zun Yang Jin and Lei Ying, had stunned faces the moment they heard these words. The subsequent reply from Xiao Yang caused these stunned expressions to become even denser. That? I think so. D-State Soul, how is this possible? Everyone was stunned as they looked at the young figure, who had exited from the spatial tunnel. Even with Gu Yuan's calmness, his face was still involuntarily filled with a disbelief. Although a D-State Soul was not as shocking as a true elite Do-D, but it was ultimately related to the latter. It should be known that even the souls of those experts like Yang Jin and Lei Ying, who had reached the 8-star Doshin class, had yet to reach this level. Moreover, all of them clearly remembered that half a month ago, Xiao Yang's soul was still at the perfect heavenly state. Half a month. What could be done in half a month? A brief period of training could swiftly exhaust half a month's time. Yet, Xiao Yang's spiritual strength had undergone an overwhelming transformation within this half a month. Xiao Yang, who had just returned from the heavenly tomb, involuntarily shook his head as he looked at his surroundings, which had suddenly become completely silent. Although only half a month had passed in the outside world, 2 years had passed inside the tomb of the heavenly tomb. Hence, Xiao Yang was unsurprised the others would feel that it was inconceivable. It was not too difficult to imagine that 2 years of training and the seemingly endless vast and mighty spiritual strength of the heavenly tomb soul allowed him to reach this stage. How did you manage to do it? Yang Jin licked his lips and finally could not help but ask. Although he did not focus on training his soul, he had still trained for so many years. However, his soul had currently remained at the perfect heavenly state. There was still an unknown distance to the D-State soul. Ancestor Xiao Yan had given me a gift. Xiao Yang replied without giving a detailed explanation. Yang Jin and Lei Ying were startled after hearing Xiao Yang's words. They immediately smiled bitterly and shook their heads. The admiration they had for this person had reached the peak. This person was indeed worthy of once being the strongest person on the Do-Chi continent. Despite having been dead for so many years, he still possessed such a terrifying ability. Have you obtained the method to revive Xiao Yan? Gu Yuan also gradually calmed down. His eyes glanced at the space behind Xiao Yang and asked. Xiao Yang became quiet after hearing this. He shook his head and softly replied, Ancestor's soul fragment has already vanished from within the heavenly tomb. Gu Yuan was startled. He looked at Xiao Yang before sighing softly. Although he was unaware of just what had happened within the heavenly tomb, it was likely that Xiao Yang's soul advancement should be related to the vanishment of Xiao Yang's soul. His expression became a little complicated as he thought of this. His relationship with Xiao Yan was filled with both competition and the friendship between men. He knew that if Xiao Yan was not the clan head of the Xiao clan, it was very likely that the both of them would have been the best of friends. Unfortunately, the status of the both of them caused them to be destined not to be able to do as they wished. The clan was always at the top spot in their hearts. Tomorrow is the half-a-month dateline that the Han clan has mentioned. Xiao Yan crossed his fingers. He stared at Xiao Yan and asked, "What do you plan to do?" "What else can I do? I do not have any choice for my father's sake." Xiao Yan shook his head. He also felt a little helpless. Regardless of what the case was, he must rescue his father. This was the promise he had made to his two brothers. Lei Ying and Yang Jin exchanged glances after hearing these words. They could only sigh. They were aware that no one could be blamed for this. The ancient jade in Xiao Yang's hands belonged to the Xiao clan. He had an absolute right to use it as he pleased. Moreover, the current Xiao Yan was also considered a powerful ally in their fight with the Han clan. This was especially the case after he had exited from the heavenly tomb. Even with their strength, they did not dare to underestimate this member of the younger generation. This was because they understood that by relying on the great strength of a Di state soul, Xiao Yan might not be afraid of them in a fight. Xiao Yan was not surprised at Xiao Yan's reply. He mused for a moment before speaking, "In that case, let's leave tomorrow. The experts from our three clans will follow you this time around. Once your father safely arrives in your hands, all of us will attack together. We must snatch back the ancient jade or destroy it regardless of what happens." Xiao Yan's expression was strangely stern. This was because he understood that if the Han clan managed to collect all the ancient jades and open the Chu Shi ancient god mansion, Han Qiandi would be able to obtain the opportunity to advance into the Dodi class. At that time, it was likely that no one in this world would be able to fight him. This so-called alliance of theirs was undoubtedly like an insect trying to shake a large tree when it came to facing an elite Dodi. It was not completely useless. Xiao Yan nodded in the face of this. With the three clans following him, he would be bolder in confronting the Han clan. Even though he had reached the D-state soul, it did not mean that Xiao Yan was able to fight with an ultimate expert like Han Qiandi. Moreover, the Han clan had many experts. Even if Han Qiandi did not show himself, just the nihility devouring flame and the four demon saints of the Han clan would give him a headache. We have also dispatched the news to the Sky Mansion Alliance during this period of time. It is likely that your people will also reach the Burial Mountain range tomorrow. At that time, our four parties will unite. There is no need to fear the Han clan. Xiao Dao said. Xiao Yan nodded again. Currently, the Sky Mansion Alliance had already begun to reveal their strength. Not only was there the ancestor of the Pill Tower and Xiao Chen, but there was also Xiao Yang, who had stepped into the Di state soul. In terms of strength, it was no longer inferior to the Yang and Lei clans. I have already personally built a spatial tunnel linking the Yang, Lei and Jiu clans while you were in the Heavenly Tomb. As long as any unexpected occurrence happens in any of the three realms, there would immediately be a feedback. The three clans has also entered into a state of high alert. All the elders who were in a retreat had been forcefully called out. They will gather together once an order is given. The miserable fate of the Ling, Shu and Yao clans had gave the remaining three clans the greatest warning. Hence, the connection of the space this time around was completely done by Xiao Yan. There should be no one in this world who can break the spatial barrier he had placed without alerting him. Even Han Qiandi was unable to do it. Of course, this was unless the latter truly reached the Do Di class. Since you have successfully exited your retreat, we are basically fully prepared. Now, we will just have to wait for tomorrow. Everyone's faces became grave after hearing Xiao Yan's words. All of them clearly understood that there will be an earth-shaking big battle tomorrow. The scale of this big battle would likely be the biggest in the Do Chi continent in thousands of years. Night covered the Jiu realm. Rays of cool moonlight poured down. Xiao Yang stood within the quiet small courtyard within the bamboo forest. His hands were behind him as his eyes looked at the sky. His expression was a little regretful and complicated. Without realizing it, it had been over a decade since he had arrived at the Central Plains from the Black Corner region. During this period of time, the youth from back then had lost all the tenderness on his face and slowly became the leader of the alliance, which dominated the entire Central Plains from someone who was unknown back then. Of course, the thing that had supported him to slowly progress to this stage was a simple obsession. It was to rescue his father, whom he had not met for decades. "Father, tomorrow we will reunite again." Xiao Yang clenched his hand. An ancient jade piece appeared in his hand. There was a weak spiritual light being emitted from the ancient jade. Xiao Yang's finger rubbed the spiritual light. After which, he lifted his head and inhaled a deep breath of air. Even though the current Xiao Yang had become a peak-level expert whom many on the continent looked up to, he was still unable to forget the doting and warm expression in his father's eyes in that small Wutan city when the former genius, who had turned into a useless fellow, was being mocked by countless number of people. His father did not become even the least bit cold because of the evaluation from the outside world. Instead, he had reprimanded himself. A key reason that Xiao Yang was able to continue enduring the mockery for 3 years and end up blossoming was because of Xiao Zhan. "Yang has now reached a far higher level than you have anticipated back then," Xiao Yang muttered to himself. He had trained hard and had finally reached the peak of this continent. However, he had not been able to meet the father whom he missed. Xiao Yang Gege. A gentle delicate figure gently leaned on Xiao Yang's back, while the latter was softly muttering. Soft hands hugged his waist, while an extremely beautiful face was lifted under the moonlight, causing the moon itself to become a little dimmer. "Uncle Xiao will be very pleased if he learns of your current achievement." Xiao Yang flipped his hand and grabbed Zana's hand. A moment later, he withdrew the emotion within his heart and turned around. After which, he grabbed the beauty into his embrace. Suddenly, he smiled and said, "When I was young, I have told father that I want Zana to become my wife. At that time, father had sternly warned me not to have such wishful thought. However, I can tell that he is extremely pleased and happy with Zana. After recusing father, I will get him to preside over a wedding for us." Zana's face gently leaned on Xiao Yang's chest. Her face was a little embarrassed upon hearing these words. However, her pretty eyes were filled with happiness. She gently nodded in an obedient manner. Xiao Yang's heart felt slightly hot as he looked at the delicate and beautiful flower-like alluring pretty face. He laughed and his arm grabbed Zana's soft and seemingly boneless waist. He lowered his head in front of Zana's embarrassed eyes and killed the beautiful full moist lips. With a wave of his sleeve, the door of the room was automatically opened. His body flashed and he rushed into the room. A bang sounded and the door was tightly shut. The night was quiet while the room was filled with love. The originally quiet Jiyu clan was filled with the sound of rushing wind when the first ray of sunlight scattered down from the sky on the next day. Many powerful auras rose swiftly. The big war was about to arrive. This video will end here.